Greetings, AP Euro. We now continue on with your notes. It's Roman numeral 4, letter D, Latin American independence. I'll give you a moment to find that. Remember, feel free to pause and rewind and so forth as you need to in order to get these things accomplished. And of course, whoever's taking the notes can, again, do any of that. The rest of you should probably also be taking notes as well. It's just a crazy thought. I know. It's crazy that way, I know. Again, don't forget your quizzes this week, but now, Roman numeral 4, letter D, Latin American independence. Under motives for revolt, the idea here is that there isn't one unifying, overarching, let's all go take care of this like you'll find in America or in France. Some of the explanations for this, first of all, you go Enlightenment ideals. There's always the idealistic approach. These ideas of freedom and brotherhood and liberté, equality, fraternity, they do make it over into Latin America. And so there is a very much sort of idealistic portion of this. But there's also an economic element to this. Especially traders from other countries, people from England and America, had been making money in Spain and Latin America, and they are not eager to have Spain come back and exert more control now that Napoleon's gone and so forth. You've also got a lot of rivalry between the Creoles, who are the people who were born in Latin America of European descent, and the Peninsulars, who are the ones who came directly from Europe. So the Creoles would very much like to get rid of the Peninsulars. So you've got lots of motivation in that direction. Most of these Latin American revolts, though, are separate revolutions. There is no one overarching revolution because they're too spread out. So you'll see some leaders emerge, like Simón Bolívar and things like that. There is no massive everyone working together to destroy the Spanish or something like that. Under British favor Spanish-American independence. Well, it's what it says on the tin. The British favor Spanish-American independence because, among other things, it makes for easier trade routes. They don't actively interfere in the revolution, so they're not out there, helping the Spanish. But with at least them staying out of the way, it means that no other European force is going to have an easy time getting over to Latin America and dealing with this revolution either, because the British basically were interfering that direction. They're not going to help they're not going to help the rebels, but they're certainly not going to help out the Spanish either. Finally, the Monroe Doctrine. You're probably familiar with it. You remember this from A-Push, or Monty. You remember me telling you about it in C-Push. The Monroe Doctrine, remember, is the United States basically warning Europe, do not interfere with Latin America, because if you do, it's an attack on the U.S. Now, the thing to remember about the Monroe Doctrine, though, is that this is incredibly gutsy because we have no real navy, or for that matter, real army. So if anyone did challenge us on it, we probably would have gotten killed. Which is why the Monroe Doctrine kind of works, because England is backing us up, quietly. England has not come out and does a full-fledged support of it because, again, they don't want to be tied into our fortunes. But there's very much a feeling of, if we got into trouble and we needed it, England would probably let us borrow their navy in order to back this up, because their commercial interests trump their bitterness towards the United States. So even though, again, this isn't that far removed from, like, the War of 1812, their commercial interests trump any sort of, hurt feelings that might have come out of the war. Under E, the end of the Congress system. It's a fairly short concept. All you need to understand is the Congress of Verona is the last of the Congresses, mainly because they weren't solving their problems. The original purpose of this, remember, was all the European countries get together to solve their issues and deal with forces like Napoleon, but they found out they were just doing better on their own. Besides, they're too busy stamping out revolution to show up at a foreign capital in a nice outfit and, chit-chat about what's going on. Under liberalism advances, yes, liberalism advances. Again, it's what it says on the tin. Liberalism advances in Europe basically because the system shuts down. Without the Congress system to create an organized pushback against liberalism and so forth, it is allowed to grow and thrive in Europe. Under Russia, 1825, the Decembrist revolt, what you need to understand here is that the death of Alexander spurs a revolution. Particularly because you've got Constantine and Nicholas, who are Alexander's brothers. It's not clear which one of them is supposed to be the new ruler. The army likes Constantine, thinking he'll make a constitution, but he doesn't want to rule. He's a very reluctant ruler. The army likes him, but he doesn't want to be the ruler. Nicholas, on the other hand, does. He brutally puts down the revolution, or the rebellion, crushes the army, and then spits in their face. So Nicholas becomes the new Tsar of Russia in the Decembrist revolt, crushing the opposition forces of Constantine and the army. Okay, that was short, but we'll go on to the next Roman numeral in just a few moments.